Last week, one of our students had 3 recruiters reach out to her via LinkedIn. And this is because she made 7 engaging posts that got probably well over 100,000 impressions throughout the whole week, and she gained over 1,000 LinkedIn connections. So how did she do this? She did this through effective copywriting. Now, this isn't a direct skill that is going to make you more effective as an analyst, but I think that this is an underutilized tactic to breaking into the analytics industry, and that is gaining a following on LinkedIn. I see this a lot with, actually, literally the last podcast guest that we had, Matt Mike, I think he's a senior financial analyst, or at least he's established in the space. And in that episode, he mentioned that he's building his LinkedIn following so that he has a pipeline of jobs. So that way he's not kind of at a power differential with his current job. He's not, so desperate that he'll take any lumps from his employer because he might have 2 or 3 other offers at any given time. So I do think that building out a following on LinkedIn is a great way to bring opportunities into your life. But what I'm not seeing is a lot of people building a following to break into the space. So in this episode, I wanted to break down really the game that is being played on LinkedIn and how you can figure it out so that you can grow your own following. The game that's being played, very simply put, is, there are a ton of LinkedIn users and they're just scrolling their news feed day in and day out. The metric that LinkedIn is looking at as to whether they're going to promote or suppress a post is how many people are scrolling their news feed, see your post, stop scrolling, read it for a couple seconds, then click see more to see the rest of the post. So that, in a nutshell, and maybe this is extremely obvious to you. For some, it may be a new concept, but that's essentially what LinkedIn is in the game of doing. They want as much attention on their platform as possible. So they're essentially leveraging all their users to pull off that task. So what makes a post viral versus just a complete flop is, does it have an effective hook? So the first mechanism there is, do you stop scrolling? Then once you read a couple lines, is there a call to action? So this is getting them to click that little see more and then exploding the page out so that you can read the rest of the post. Then the next thing that may or may not happen is them liking or leaving a comment. So luckily we've brought on Ian Klosowicz, who over the last 6 months, he's grown his following by 46,000 followers, which is insane to me. And I think he gets about 6 million impressions per month. But what he has been doing is having a weekly coaching call with our Silvertone Analytics career services students. And he has been walking them through his methodology on how he approaches copywriting, which, he's top 1% as far as people who are in the analytics space and building a following on LinkedIn. There's very few people who have, more than 10,000, let alone 40,000. So he has done an amazing job of, helping our students think through, not only what they're posting on LinkedIn, but their brand positioning. So I think that's really, really important because you don't want to be attracting a bunch of people that are not in the analytics space. So my advice to you is to start to think about what is a unique vantage point that I have within the analytics space, and then start building out a broader narrative. So that's kind of the tip of the week, or the short form episode is, this is a new tactic that we're completely exploring, kind of forging new grounds on, of building a following on LinkedIn and engaging. Because it's already, we're week 2 into working with Ian, and I would say cumulatively our students have gained 3,000 followers. Not every one of them is super, gung-ho about getting out there on LinkedIn, which I understand, especially if you're trying to make a transition to the space. It could feel really vulnerable, and the last thing you want is a bunch of spotlights on you saying like, hey, what are you doing? What are your thoughts? But to that note, though, documenting your journey of, hey, here's my background, I want to introduce myself, and here's the journey, here's my thoughts and my opinions. Yes, you will get some just pretty much hate comments. I get them regularly. and surprisingly by people that are in my network, which I found shocking. But I would say 98% of the engagement that you get on LinkedIn is pretty positive. So what you can do is start making posts of, hey, here's my approach, or here are my thoughts. And then what's really cool is that people like Ian or, Christina Stathopoulos, all of these people who are really established in the space are very active on LinkedIn, and they might comment on one of your posts to correct you or give a more nuanced take on what you're thinking about. So what you can do by building a following on LinkedIn is not only start to get attention specifically of recruiters. So that's the hack that we're trying to pull off is, can we build the following of our students so that they are now getting outreached by recruiters? So it could be just beginner's luck. I have a hunch that it's not. I don't think that very many entry-level analysts are building a following. But the secondary benefit of building that following is that you get to join in on conversation. So one of the tactics that Ian has told the students, and also me, is when you go and look at someone who's like kind of a thought leader in the space, go to their LinkedIn page. There's a notification bell that you can ring so that you'll get a notification on LinkedIn anytime they post. So if you're getting those notifications and you continue to engage with them, they're going to be much more likely to engage back with you. So what you're doing is you're opening up a dialogue with people who are thought leaders in the space, which I think it's really innovative. I've never seen anything like this before. I mean, I guess social media, it gets such a bad rap. And I do think that probably on the whole, I think social media is probably bad. But if you're thoughtful and you have the intention of, I'm purposely using this tool to go and build a following, to achieve my goals of breaking the space or get a promotion or whatever, I think it can be really, really good and really potent. Now, the flip side of that is it can completely capture all of your time and your attention. And it's kind of like that cheap dopamine hit. And personally, I don't want to engage with LinkedIn drama and calling people out, because what I've kind of thought through that just brings more of that chaos and that anger. I mean, actually, it's funny it gets brought up is I'm actually not on Twitter, because I think Twitter is pretty much a cesspool for that like negativity and that hate. But if you can, with intention, build out a following on LinkedIn, it's a great way that you can connect with people in the industry, specifically recruiters. So this might lead directly to a job for you. But it's also a way for you to start to network online and at scale. So follow all the people who you really respect and admire and would want to someday kind of find yourself in a similar position as them. Ring that bell, follow them, engage with them on a regular basis. And then there might be some reciprocity where let's say you engage with their last 10 posts, maybe, in 2 weeks, you make a post and then they engage and they give you some feedback. Because what I've noticed is that I get messages from people who connect with me all the time. And what they do, and I'm not trying to be mean and I'm not trying to call anyone out if you're listening to this and you did this to me, this is with kindness. Do not connect with people and then immediately ask for help. Because, someone like Ian, 6 million impressions a month. He gets about 10,000 new followers. So his inbox is just flooded with message after message after message of, hey, can you help me? Hey, can you look at this? Hey, can you critique my portfolio? And that's just not how it works. The way that it can work, and this is like really effective networking, is to engage with them, because you got to think about with, Ian, what is his goal? He wants to grow his following. So one way that you can help in a very small way is to like his post and engage with him. And you can do that. I'm just using Ian because it's off the top of my head, but you can do that with any of the, Kenji, Alex the analyst. You can help them build their following, and then they're going to be much more likely to help you back in return. All right, I'm going to get off my soapbox here. I do think that LinkedIn, it's funny because I've come around on LinkedIn. Ian's changed my mind. If you guys have been following me for a while, I didn't really post the last 6 months to a year other than just promoting. But Ian has kind of breathed new light into it, and we're already starting to see results of aspiring analysts or people trying to get promotions can leverage LinkedIn to pull that off. One last thing that I wanted to mention before I sign off on this little mini episode is that we're piloting a new program where instead of the full apprenticeship program that is 3 months or the career services that is, a bigger ticket price point, we are going to be offering access to 16 group lectures and the core curriculum at a lower price. Now, what this is not going to include, like it does in the career services and the apprenticeship, is unlimited coaching calls with everybody on the team. But what we're starting to sense out in the marketplace is that some people don't feel like they need that extra help with coaching, and they don't want to pay the big ticket price for the full apprenticeship or the full career services, and maybe the certification backed by Greensboro College. So if you're interested in potentially joining in on our group lectures and working through the core curriculum, send me a message on LinkedIn, and we can discuss that further. With all that being said, I hope you enjoyed this episode.